friends? Are you tired and achy, your joints ache, and you just have overall pain but you're not really sick? A little bit too much pain to just deal with, but you don't want to resort to taking aspirin because you actually want to protect your liver? Stay tuned. I'm going to show you exactly how you can make an herbal pain medicine, or if you want to buy a couple different herbs and mix them together and make an herbal pain medicine so that you don't have to resort to using aspirin. Hello, my name is Amanda and I am from the Wild Herbal, and today we are going to get you feeling better again without pain. The first herb that we're going to use is called white willow bark. It is actually what aspirin is made out of. The saprylic acid is taken from white willow bark and it is secreted and made into aspirin. So instead of making a chemical that's going to have a lot of side effects like aspirin does, like killing the liver, we are going to use the whole herb because God is incredible and He made herbs to be balanced. So the different things in aspirin, they took one part of the chemical solution of aspirin, the saprylic acid. It relieves pain, but it is also damaging to different organs. So God made it so that the willow bark has different other polyphenols and different other components that balance out the saprylic acid so that this does not have the same effect and it is not harmful to your body. So it's really important that when you are doing herbs, you always want to use the whole herb because God created the whole herb there to balance each other out and for a reason. So the first herb that we're going to be using is this. The second herb that we're going to be using is wild lettuce. And this is an herb that I was just learning about last year, and I think it's really cool. It grows all around here, so this is our own wild crafted wild lettuce. It acts like as an opiate, and they've had really good success. Typically in the past, my recipe has always been wild willow bark, and the next one, which is Cordyceps, which is a mushroom, and it is a powder because I cannot actually find the mushroom itself, which I don't prefer because it's harder to strain, but it is what it is, and I have it. I'm not really sure why it works, but it is a really good herb for pain. And another herb for pain that if you watch this other video when we make a wound spray, I use is hops. Now hops is a really awesome herb and it is a nervine and it helps relieve pain too, but it also, because it is a nervine, it can also make you a little bit tired. So I use it in the wound spray and it helps, like when you have cuts and scratches, you spray it on there and it helps relieve the pain in a wound. It has almost like an anesthesia effect. I feel like sometimes it can make people a little bit drowsy and you want something that you can take at any time of the day, not just at night. So hops is something else you can add if it's something you're just going to be using at night. I just choose not to use it in my tincture. So let's get started. We have all of our herbs. We are going to need some purified water. You want to make sure it's purified or distilled, because if it is tap water and it has any type of chlorine or other type of bacteria, it can kill herbs or have some really weird effects on them. So it's always best to go with pure water. The next thing that we're going to use is glycerin. You want to use 100% vegetable glycerin that is food safe, not the one that you put on your skin. And then the next thing we're going to use is vodka. I have 190 proof vodka. You can use 80 proof vodka. But if you use 80 proof vodka, I'll tell you in a little bit how you're going to change the recipe, but you're not going to add as much water. This one is almost pure vodka. Sorry, it is almost pure alcohol. So I can add water and I feel like it goes a lot longer and the tincture is stronger that way, because 80 proof vodka means it's 40% alcohol and 40% water. So it makes it a little bit more tricky math-wise whenever you're adding water. So I prefer just to get to almost 200 proof and then add water, and then I don't have to do as much math. It makes it easier and I don't mess up my recipes quite as much. So we're gonna go ahead and get our trusty scale and we are going to weigh out our herbs in our jar. And I'm going to make 60 ounces, so I have a 64 ounce jar. We're gonna put it on here and we're gonna press tade. So I like to do a 1 to 5 tincture with my herbs because we're using 60 ounces of liquid, which is also called menstruum. We're going to divide that by 5 because this is a ratio. So 5 goes into 60 12 times. So we are going to use 12 ounces of herbs. So I'm gonna set my unit to ounces. And I have 3 separate herbs that I'm using, and I'm gonna use 2 parts of the white willow bark. So in our 12 ounces, I'm going to use, let's say we divide that, since I'm using 2 parts white willow bark, then wild lettuce would be another part, which is 3, and cordyceps would be another part, which is 4. So 4 goes into 12 3 times. 3 ounces is 1 part. So I'm gonna use 3 ounces of cordyceps, 3 ounces of wild lettuce, and 6 ounces of white willow bark. So I'm gonna go ahead and measure out 6 ounces of white willow bark. And if it goes a little bit over, it's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. So the next thing I'm going to do is add wild lettuce. We're gonna do 3 ounces. I'm gonna go ahead and press tade again so that it's a little bit easier. Now I'm going to add 3 ounces of cordyceps. Now this is a powder. It's a little bit heavier in weight, which is good because all of my other herbs are kind of fluffy, so it's filling up my jar kind of quickly. And I went a little bit over, it's 3.03, but that's okay. So now that we have our herbs measured, we can turn off our scale and we are going to add our menstruum. So with the menstruum, I like to do predominantly glycerin and then a little bit of, and then half alcohol and half water. So that looks at 60% glycerin, 20% vodka, and 20% water. So 60% of glycerin comes out to 36 ounces. Now I did 36 ounces of glycerin. I'm going to do 12 ounces of vodka and 12 ounces of water. You can definitely play around with the menstruum, which is the liquid you're putting in here, but you always want to make sure that your water stays below 40%. If your water in a tincture is above 40%, then it will mold and it will not stay good. If you didn't want to use vodka, you could use 60% glycerin and 40% water. So I'm going to let this sit just a second so it can go all the way down to the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to let that liquid settle all the way down to the bottom. I do want to make sure that I have enough liquid to cover my herbs, because again, if I don't, then it will mold. So then I could add a little bit more vodka, or I could add a little bit more glycerin, but I'm not going to add any more water. Even though I probably could, I just feel like it would be better with this tincture to have it a little bit stronger. So I'm going to wait and see what happens here. Sometimes that does happen when your herbs are really fluffy, which means that they like suck up a lot of water, and there's a lot of them. So in the meantime, we are going to write a label. So we want to label our herb. You want to put on here exactly what your herb is. So this is my pain tincture. And then we want to put the day that we're creating it. And I'm going to put this on the top of my jar. Now on mine, I just put pain tincture because I have a little blue book that I keep all of my recipes in. And if I need to know exactly what something is, I can go back through and I can look up my recipe. So all of my recipes are labeled something different, and I know exactly what herbs are in there. If I have pain tincture left over from last time, I will go ahead and also like label a lot number, like say this is lot number 2, so that if anything happens with that lot number, I can look back and say, okay, it's with this lot that I'm struggling with. It's not strong enough, or it's not working like it should. So I went ahead and pushed to make sure that I have everything covered and that all of my liquid is down to the bottom. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to shake it, make sure it's capped tightly. I'm going to shake this around just to make sure that all of this herb is getting incorporated. This, if you notice, is not an amber glass jar. So I want to keep this away from direct sunlight, out of the heat, so storing it above a stove is not a good idea. But I do want to keep it maybe in a pantry if your pantry is dark, or in a cabinet that is dark and away from the heat, so that I can remember to come back and shake it. It is going to be better if I shake it every day or several times a day, so I don't really want to forget about it. But the shaking it is going to help your menstruum to come in contact with the herbs a little bit better, and to draw out all the herbs from them. I'm sorry, to draw out all the properties from your herbs. So I'm going to store this Because this is predominantly a glycerin tincture, it only needs to sit for 2 weeks. But because it also has alcohol, I can let it sit up to 6 weeks, or it can sit longer than that. It doesn't matter how long it sits. But typically I'll let it go for about 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, kind of find like a happy medium in there. And then I will strain this tincture and store it in a small amber glass bottle. So if you do not know how to strain a tincture, you can check this video up here where I take you through the steps of how to strain a tincture and how to store it properly so it doesn't go bad. But so this is going to be a tincture that you're just going to use for general achiness, pains, if you have joint pain, maybe even some arthritis or some sciatic nerve pain, different things like that. This is going to be a good tincture for anything that you're going to want to use aspirin for. But if you are allergic to aspirin, or you have issues with like your thin blood or things like that, you're not going to want to use this tincture because it still does have the cyprulic acid that aspirin does. If you're allergic to aspirin, you may be allergic to this. So you do want to be careful. If you want to do an experiment on yourself, that's up to you. But if not, you probably want to consult your functional medicine doctor and ask them maybe what would be a better solution for you, or if this would be something that would work out. So I'm not your doctor, so it's always best to consult your functional medicine doctor to see what's best for your body, because they know what has worked for you in the past, what's working for you, and your full medical history, whereas I don't. This is just for informational purposes only and to help you to find natural remedies for you and your family. But if you enjoyed this video and would like a printable recipe card with this recipe, you can click the link down below or in the top comment, and you can sign up to my newsletter, and I send out the printable recipe cards with every video, as well as some tips and tricks that I find are things that you may be interested in. But thank you so much. I wish you health, and I appreciate you watching. Thank you, friends. Goodbye.